And joining me now is the director of President Biden's National Economic Council. It's Brian Deese. Mr. Deese, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me, Chuck.
Look, I want to start. It was literally 6 months ago on this show that the Treasury Secretary and former Fed Chair Janet Yellen said, look, inflation, it's just not an issue. 2 weeks later, when some numbers came out, that was the first time the administration started using the word transitory to say temporary. This is 6 months ago. Is it fair to say this is no longer transitory?
There's no doubt inflation is high right now. It's affecting Americans' pocketbooks. It's affecting their outlook. And that's a problem we have to deal with. But it's important that we put this in context. When the president took office, we were facing an all-out economic crisis. 18 million people were collecting unemployment benefits. 3,000 people a day were dying of COVID. And because of the actions the president has taken, we're now seeing an economic recovery that most people didn't think was possible then. Economic growth in America is outstripping any other developed country. And the unemployment rate has come down to 4.6%. That's about 2 years faster than experts projected. So the challenge we have now is how to build on the strength of that recovery while also addressing the price issues. And for us, that means three things. One, we have to finish the job on COVID. We have to return to a sense of economic normalcy by getting more workplaces COVID-free, getting more kids vaccinated so more parents feel comfortable going to work. Number two, we've got to address the supply chain issue. And the bipartisan infrastructure bill that the president will sign on Monday is going to do more to help get goods moving more cheaply and freely through the American economy than anything in half a century. And third, we have to address those costs that are the biggest pain points for American families. Things like housing and health care and child care. That's exactly what the Build Back Better bill that the House is going to consider this week will do. And we're looking forward to working on that and getting that done as soon as we can.
Look, COVID makes a lot of sense, but the other 2 points are a bit longer term. And I understand this, that your job in some ways is to protect the long term. But there are some short-term challenges. I want to put up here, yes, we have an economic recovery, but inflation is now outstripping the wage gains. As you can see here, year over year, wages are up nearly 5%, but the inflation basically eats all of it and then some. So then we're starting to see some eating into savings. So you talk about the supply chain issue. Let's start with the labor market. We have a massive problem in the labor market. Some of it's COVID related. Some of it, though, is just we need more workers. Is it time to open the immigration door?
Well, I'm glad you made the point about wages because there's more to that statistic than meets the eye. If you look at the strong wage gains that have happened, plus the direct support that we provided to families, checks in pockets, and the child tax credit, the disposable income for a typical family is actually up about 2%, even after you take into account inflation, which is why we've actually seen checking account balances go up and credit card balances come down over the course of the year. Now, that doesn't reduce the frustration anymore when somebody's going to the gas station and they see prices go up, but it does mean that we are well positioned to try to address these challenges going forward. With respect to the labor market, 500,000 jobs a month created, that's historic job growth. We want to get all Americans back to work, but it means focusing on things that actually practically are keeping people from going to work right now. Yeah. COVID is a big element of this. Last month, 4 million people reported that they weren't able to fully work because either they themselves or they were dealing with a family member. The more that we can get back to a sense of normalcy, get workplaces COVID-free, get more people vaccinated, the more we're going to solve that issue. But I really want to focus on child care here, too.
I understand that, but this doesn't solve the labor. I mean, we have a truck driver problem. This isn't going to suddenly magically fix itself because you've got a better pre-K situation in this country. The truck driver issue, this appears to be, there's not a lot of people who want to be truck drivers. That's what I'm asking. You got to open the immigration door. You seem to duck that question.
Well, I'm glad you raised the question of trucking and truck drivers. The situation we have in the economy right now, we're moving more goods through the economy than we ever have before. The supply chain challenges are a function of actually us being more successful at moving goods through the economy, but the demand is really high, up 17% from before the pandemic. So we're looking at doing everything we practically can, for example, to speed the issuances of a commercial driver's license. You know, to actually drive a long-haul truck, you need to get training to do so. In states around the country, we're working to open on nights and weekends to allow more people to get commercial driver's license. The other thing we need to do is we need to pay good wages and benefits to truckers. A lot of the reason why people don't want to be truck driver, it's hard work. You have to be away from your family. It's physically exhausting. And if you look over the last 2 decades, the wages paid to truck drivers have just come down and down and down. The good news is truck companies are recognizing that now. They're starting to offer bonuses and wage increases. And as they do, this will become a more attractive profession for people. So we got to work on the training, but also paying people and making it an attractive job for them to take.
So you do not believe, it sounds like you don't believe we have a worker shortage. We don't have a labor shortage. Twice now I've asked on the immigration front. You don't think we need more labor in this country, particularly in the service sector?
We have one of the strongest labor market recoveries that we've seen in modern history, and we need to do more to get people to work. But we're focused on those drivers that will actually help Americans get into the workforce, and those are things like getting COVID under control, and also providing child care. You know, that is a here and now issue. That's not a tomorrow issue for a lot of families, a lot of women, more than 2 million women who have left the labor force precisely because they have to manage these family issues. If we can get quality child care, quality preschool in place, that's going to free them up to get into the labor market.
Are we at a point that the Fed needs to step in here and start raising rates and slow down this to tap the brakes here on inflation?
Well, the Fed's going to operate independently, and the president has underscored the importance of the Fed operating independently. I'll leave those determinations to them. What we can do from our side is to focus on passing the Build Back Better agenda. You know, if you think about costs right now, 60% of a typical family's budget goes to 4 things: housing, health care, child care, and transportation. This Build Back Better bill will build more affordable houses around the country, make it cheaper and easier for people to live near jobs that they want to take. It will reduce the cost of health care, reduce prescription drug prices, cap out-of-pocket costs for seniors. These are big drivers of cost.
I understand that. None of that is going to impact inflation right now. So I guess the question is there much, do you believe that just at the end of the day, everything you've done is everything that can be done with inflation? Or are there more tools in the toolbox that you might use if you think it's getting worse?
We can address this issue in the short term and the medium term. In the short term, we're focused on executing a strategy to finish the task on COVID. Those are immediate steps that we know actually will help return our economy to a sense of normalcy. Affecting supply chains, working with ports. You know, the president stepped in with the port of L.A. and Long Beach a couple of weeks ago to get them to go to 24/7. In just the last couple of weeks, the share of containers sitting on docks idly has come down by 20%. Those are the kind of steps we can take in the short term. But I don't think we should downplay the medium term here. If we can act immediately to invest in child care, cut the cost of child care in half for the typical family, that's going to be a game changer for families and help get more people into the workplace as well. We've got to work in the short term and the medium term here as well.
Brian Deese, the chair of the President's National Economic Council. Mr. Deese, appreciate you coming on and sharing the administration's perspective here.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.